What happens to your body if you walk for 30 minutes a day for 30 days? Let me ask you a direct question. When was the last time you went for a walk without a specific destination, without any rush, just to move? Millions of Americans know they should move more, but they believe that walking isn't enough, that they need the gym, that they need to sweat, that they need something more intense to make a real difference. Science disagrees. And what researchers have found about what happens inside the human body when you walk just 30 minutes a day, every day, for a month, in the heart, brain, blood, and muscles, will completely change the way you view this simple movement that you already know how to do. You don't need a gym, you don't need equipment, you don't need money. You just need 30 minutes and a pair of sneakers. Today, you'll learn what happens to your heart in the first week, how your metabolism starts to change in the second, what walking does to your brain in the third, and where the markers that appear in tests start to respond in the fourth, plus the 3 mistakes that sabotage everything, and a counterintuitive discovery about the best time to walk that will surprise you. According to the CDC, less than 25% of American adults meet the minimum recommended levels of physical activity per week. That's less than 1 in 4 people. The American Heart Association recommends at least 150 minutes of moderate intensive aerobic activity per week. 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week achieves exactly that number. And a meta-analysis published in PMC, conducted by Zheng and colleagues and analyzing multiple longitudinal studies, estimated that walking approximately 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, is associated with a 19% reduction in the risk of coronary heart disease. 19%. Just by walking. Meet Robert, 62 years old. He worked his entire life sitting down. He retired 2 years ago, gained weight, his blood pressure went up, and the doctor ordered tests. He was never into gyms. He hated gyms since he was 30, but walking, that he could do. Robert isn't looking for athletic results. He's looking to stop taking medication. And it's precisely for people like him that this research was conducted. Walking isn't just for people who can't do better. It's one of the most studied, safest, and most effective exercises for adults over 50. And most people don't know what it does internally. To understand what 30 minutes of walking does, I need to explain 2 mechanisms that work together every time you get up and start walking. The first involves the heart and blood vessels. Think of your cardiovascular system as a network of pipes, with the heart as the central pump. When you sit for hours, this pump works at a steady pace, and the blood vessels remain relatively inactive. When you start walking, the demand for oxygen in your muscles increases. The heart needs to pump more blood. The blood vessels need to dilate to handle the flow. This active dilation process stimulates the cells lining the vessel walls, called endothelial cells, to produce nitric oxide. Nitric oxide acts as a chemical messenger that instructs the vessels to relax and expand. Over time, this repeated stimulation makes the vessels more flexible and responsive, and the pressure the heart needs to exert to pump blood decreases. A meta-analysis published in the Journal of the American Academy of Family Physicians, analyzing multiple controlled studies, documented that regular walking reduces systolic blood pressure by an average of 4.11 millimeters of mercury and resting heart rate by 2.76 beats per minute. For the heart, which beats more than 100,000 times a day, each reduced resting heart rate represents an immense cumulative relief. The second mechanism involves muscles and blood sugar. The leg muscles, the gluteus maximus, hamstrings, and quadriceps, are the largest consumers of glucose in the human body. Think of them as power plants that go into power-saving mode when you're sitting and into full operation when you walk. And here's a fact most people don't know. Moving muscles can absorb glucose from the blood without needing insulin. It's as if they have an alternative gateway that opens automatically with movement, independent of the hormone. This means that every time you walk, your muscles are literally clearing sugar from your blood directly and immediately. This combination of cardiovascular and metabolic benefits begins much earlier than most people realize. Week 1. The heart begins to adapt. Within the first 7 days, the cardiovascular system is already responding. The resting heart rate begins to fall. Blood vessels are being stimulated daily to produce nitric oxide. Blood pressure shows the first signs of response. Imagine Robert in his first week. He walks around the neighborhood every morning after breakfast. In the first few days, he gets slightly out of breath on the inclines. By the 5th day, he notices that the same stretch has become easier. Not because the street has changed, because his heart is starting to adapt. A study published in PMC that followed older adults with hypertension documented that 7 consecutive days of walking produced improvements in hemodynamic parameters in both groups studied. It is worth noting that this study had 20 participants with diagnosed cardiovascular conditions, and the benefits observed in this specific group are consistent with what the broader literature documents for adults in general over weeks of regular exercise. Week 2. Metabolism wakes up. Here's the connection to what you learned about sugar and sleep in previous videos on this channel. With the muscles being activated daily, insulin sensitivity begins to improve measurably. The pancreas needs to release less insulin to process the same amount of glucose because the muscles are doing part of the work themselves. A study published in Diabetes Care analyzed adults over 60 at risk of glucose intolerance and documented that 3 15-minute walks after main meals significantly reduced glucose spikes over 24 hours, with an effect comparable to a continuous 45-minute walk. And the researchers found that walking after dinner had the greatest single benefit for daily glucose control. Research from UCLA Health and the Cleveland Clinic confirms that even a 5-minute walk after a meal has a measurable effect on moderating glucose spikes within a 60 to 90-minute window after eating. And here's the counterintuitive finding. It's not the morning walk on an empty stomach that has the biggest impact on blood sugar. It's the walk after eating, especially after dinner. Week 3. The brain changes. What happens in the 3rd week is the most surprising. Every time you walk, your brain produces a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain. It stimulates the growth of new neurons, strengthens the connections between existing ones, and protects brain cells against the wear and tear of aging. A systematic review published in PMC in 2025, analyzing multiple studies on walking and BDNF in adult humans, documented that walking sessions of 20 to 35 minutes acutely raise BDNF levels, and that this effect becomes more pronounced with consistent practice. Researchers observed that the magnitude of the response varies according to each person's fitness level. Those starting from a sedentary lifestyle tend to see more significant responses in the first few weeks. The same review documented that greater amounts and frequencies of daily walking are associated with larger hippocampal volumes of between 0.2% and 1.4%, compared to the expected annual atrophy rates with normal aging. The hippocampus is the central structure for memory and learning. It is also one of the first regions affected in Alzheimer's disease, and regular walking is associated with its preservation. Furthermore, increased BDNF is associated with improved mood and reduced anxiety symptoms, effects documented in studies with adults over 50. The 3rd week is when many people report sleeping better. This completes a circle with the previous video on this channel. Walking improves sleep. Sleep improves metabolism. Metabolism improves energy for walking. Before we get to week 4, when the markers that appear in blood tests start to respond, let me ask you something simple. If you're learning something here, please give it a like. This small gesture greatly helps this channel reach more people who need this information. And if you haven't signed up yet, now is the time. Now let's move on to week 4. The exams are starting to respond. A study published in the European Journal of Preventive Cardiology in 2025, conducted by Australian researchers and analyzing data from over 37,000 participants, documented that each increase of 1,000 daily steps was associated with measurable reductions in the risk of major cardiovascular events, including heart attack and stroke. The researchers concluded that even below 10,000 steps per day, each increase in activity has a measurable impact. 30 minutes of walking at a moderate pace is equivalent to approximately 3,000 to 4,000 steps every day for 30 days. What research documents as beginning to appear in markers after 4 weeks of consistent walking includes improvements in triglycerides, a drop in blood pressure, improved insulin sensitivity, and a reduction in inflammatory markers. The time frame and magnitude vary from person to person, but the direction of change when walking is consistent is robustly documented in the scientific literature. Now that you know what happens to your body in 30 days when you add walking, I'm going to help you put walking into practice in your life. I'm going to give you 3 practical actions to maximize your results. Action 1. Moderate pace. Not a stroll, not a race. The research is specific to intensity. Walking too slowly doesn't generate the documented cardiovascular and metabolic stimuli. The ideal pace is what researchers call brisk walking, a pace that accelerates breathing without hindering conversation. You should be able to speak in short sentences but not sing. Action 2. Take a walk after eating, especially after dinner. Based on studies published in Diabetes Care and confirmed by researchers at UCLA Health, a 10 to 15-minute walk after a main meal has a greater impact on glycemic control than a walk of the same duration on an empty stomach in the morning. For those who want to protect their metabolism or control glucose, this timing makes a measurable difference. Action 3. It doesn't need to be continuous. This is the discovery that removes the main excuse for not walking. A study published in PMC compared older adults with hypertension who walked continuously for 30 minutes with those who divided the same 30 minutes into 3 10-minute sessions throughout the day. The result? Both groups had comparable benefits in blood pressure, metabolic markers, and oxidative stress. The Harvard School of Public Health confirms in its review on walking that interrupting long periods of sitting with short walks of 3 to 5 minutes also improves glycemic control. What matters is the daily volume, not whether it happens all at once or in parts. The 3 mistakes that sabotage results. And for those of you who are about to include walking in your routine, I'm going to tell you about 3 mistakes that can diminish your results. Mistake number 1. Walking too slowly. A slow walk has wellness benefits, but it doesn't generate the cardiovascular and metabolic stimuli documented in studies. The pace needs to be moderate enough to raise the heart rate. If you can walk and look at your phone at the same time without any effort, you're probably below the necessary pace. Mistake number 2. Compensating for the walk by eating more. 30 minutes of walking burns between 150 and 200 calories for most adults. A healthy cereal bar or fruit juice after the walk can easily replenish or exceed that expenditure. The metabolic benefits of walking don't primarily come from calorie expenditure. They come from muscle activation, improved insulin sensitivity, and BDNF production. Compensating with food specifically cancels out the effects on glycemic control. Mistake number 3. Stopping on weekends. Research on consistency and physical activity documents that the cumulative benefit of walking depends on weekly regularity. Weekends are actually the days with the greatest opportunity, more time available, the possibility of walking in natural environments, which studies indicate amplifies the cognitive benefits of walking. Treating the weekend as a break breaks exactly the rhythm that the body was building during the week. So what happens to your body if you walk for 30 minutes a day for 30 days? In the first week, the heart begins to work with less effort. In the second, the muscles start to clear sugar from the blood more efficiently. In the third, the brain receives the stimulus it needs to grow and protect itself. In the fourth, the markers that appear in the tests begin to tell a different story. All this in 30 minutes. No gym, no equipment, no money. The takeaway message I want you to from this video is simple. Movement is not punishment for what you ate. It's the oldest signal that exists that you are alive, and your body responds to that signal every time you get up and start walking. Before we wrap up, everything I've shared here is based on published research, but if you have a diagnosed cardiovascular condition, diabetes, joint problems, or any other health condition, talk to your doctor before starting a walking routine. This channel exists to help you understand the science, not to replace the medical care you deserve. If this video resonated with you, share it with someone who always says they don't have time for the gym, because now you know the gym was never the point. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, now's the time. Turn on notifications and don't miss the next video. Until the next video.